She was just making soup when she added 2 extra spoonfuls of pepper. As a result, her husband couldn't stop coughing after drinking it. Because of the treatment, he missed his flight abroad. By the time the special police at the airport found the man, he was no longer breathing. Soon, the body was sent to the National Forensic Service. But just as the medical examiner was preparing to perform the autopsy, the Center for Disease Control called, stating that the deceased had just returned from an Ebola-affected area in Africa a day ago and was highly likely to have been infected with the Ebola virus. At this moment, a prosecutor happened to come by to deliver the autopsy warrant. However, before she could get out, the doors to the autopsy room were suddenly locked. Only then did Ayumi realize she had been quarantined as a suspected contact of the virus. On the other side, the medical examiner, calm and composed, collected a sample from the deceased's nasal cavity and passed it out for testing through a disinfection window. The results of the virus test would take at least 8 hours to come out. Hearing this, everyone instantly lost their composure. If the deceased was truly an Ebola patient, then the risk of infection from direct contact with the body was extremely high. But the medical examiner believed that if it was poisoning rather than disease, then every second delayed in confirming the cause of death was giving the murderer an opportunity to escape. Left with no choice, Ayumi had to assist him. The examiner found that there was almost no food residue in the deceased's stomach, but his lungs showed severe fibrosis, and his liver was more than twice its normal size. The examiner speculated that it was either multiple pneumonia or food poisoning. After an investigation, the police learned that the deceased's meals were always prepared by his wife. If the possibility of murder was not ruled out, the wife was the biggest suspect. Under the guidance of the forensic pathologist, the police conducted a thorough search of the deceased's home. But after turning the entire villa upside down, they found no suspicious items. That is, until a female forensic scientist found a bottle of special prescription cough medicine in a cabinet, showing it had been prescribed 6 months ago. This meant the man had been coughing for a very long time. This allowed the pathologist to breathe a sigh of relief. Although Ebola infection couldn't be ruled out yet, the possibility of poisoning had greatly increased. Just then, the female forensic scientist brought back key evidence. Paraquat, known as the king of all poisons, can cause total organ failure and a state of fibrosis in the lungs with just a small sip. It was clear the man had died from paraquat poisoning. Subsequent investigation revealed that the deceased had purchased a $1 billion life insurance policy 6 months ago, and the beneficiary was the wife he had married just a year ago. This meant the woman had taken advantage of her husband's business trip to Africa to deliberately poison his food, then disguised it as a viral infection to fraudulently claim the large insurance payout. Furthermore, the woman's ex-husband had also died in an accident a year ago, from which she had also received $500 million in insurance money. It was clear that accident was also likely the woman's doing. What was even more horrifying was that she had also bought insurance policies on her mother-in-law and stepson. At this very moment, she is making soybean paste stew for the two of them. She feels she hasn't added enough, and as she turns to add a little more, she finds the pepper shaker is gone. Just then, a police officer arrives. He lies, claiming to be a social worker here to look after the mother-in-law. He then says the soup looks a bit salty and asks the woman to taste it herself, but the woman refuses to try it no matter what. With the evidence being conclusive, the woman is arrested on the spot.